everybody. Welcome to Table Talk. We are so glad that you're with us this week, and I am wearing my festive 1985 sweater. Dolores looks a little bit cuter than I do with her Christmas tree, but so thanks for joining us, and I'm here with my friend Dolores, who Dolores is also our Christian Formation Board member, and she's been a part of this church for quite a while, right?
For quite a while, since 1983.
1983, so older than my sweater. How about that?
Yes, older than your sweater, older than dirt. And I was not here as a 1-year-old either. I came here actually as a 25-year-old. Came here to work at the daycare, which we had at the time, right, until 2016. And almost immediately became a member of the church because I had been part of a Nazarene church growing up and everything. And met Dave here, and after we got married, raised our kids here, worked with the daycare again until 2016. So I've been involved in many, many things here at the church. I've been choir director, local outreach director. I've worn many hats.
And then also more recently as our interim children's director and now coordinator of children's ministry, and then you work professionally at a school too, is that right?
I do. I work at Shepherdstown Elementary School as an instructional assistant. So, I speak kid. I like working with children.
We love that. Well, you guys did a great job this Sunday, I have to say, with the kids singing. I was telling somebody today that it doesn't really matter what they sing, they look so cute. And then like talking about the baby Jesus, like as long as those two things, these cute kids sing about baby Jesus, like it's all good. It doesn't matter what happens. So anyway. So we're talking about joy, which little children bring, and yes, when they're not crying or upset. But that's what we talked about this week with regifting joy, and really just focusing on really the nature of joy, especially when it comes to Mary's story. So I'm just curious, just as we start off, like what I guess struck you or what stuck with you from Mary's story and the message this week?
Well, I think that I did think about the fact that she didn't experience that joy, whatever, until she had shared it with Elizabeth. But joy being kind of a corporate thing.
Yeah.
You just think of, I grew up with the old hymn, Jesus is the joy of living, and I've got the joy deep down in my heart. And that's just me and my joy.
Yeah.
And to think that just the whole idea of sharing with others and how just Mary and Elizabeth were able to share that, and that Mary needed Elizabeth could mentor Mary, that was all kind of part of God's design. It made me think, actually, kind of unrelated, but sort of related. In the Amish community, when women get together, when they have a big job to do, they all get together and they call it a work frolic. And the idea that, many hands make light work. And that same sort of thing when we get to work together in life. Frolic kind of suggests joy, suggests happiness, that we do better when we're together. I really believe that, we're made for community, but I guess I just hadn't thought about it that way. I know I'm babbling, but just the whole idea that especially when we go through a difficult time, we just want to go into ourselves. And that really the way out of that is to be with others, to share with others, and to then experience joy from doing that.
Yeah, and you think about that, that's what Mary did. It's very interesting, she had the news from the angel that visited her, and very easily, she could have done just that, is kind of hunker down, have everything, I know I like to figure things out, and I must move the puzzle pieces around in my brain, how can I make this work, how can I make Joseph happy, what's the script I'm going to use, what do I tell my parents, how does this work? But instead of doing all that, and I'm sure she probably did some of that on her journey, but she chose to go and visit Elizabeth. She made it a point, as difficult as it was to do that, so that she took that risk, really, that it was worth it so much.
Maybe she needed the time of that journey to kind of flesh all that out.
For sure.
Goodness, that was quite the journey.
Right.
What did you say, 60 to 80 miles or 80
80 to 100 miles.
Wow,
it would have been. Yeah, so that was a lot of thinking and praying, I'm sure. But like even with us, like, sometimes it's like that long car ride to get somewhere with that destination in mind. Like she knew she was going to be able to talk to Elizabeth, but sometimes we need that time and space too to process
Absolutely.
it and then be able to share it. So yeah, but just the fact that like she put herself in a place of even risk, that it was so important to see Elizabeth to talk about this and to get counsel, and not even counsel. Like we're not even told. The funny thing is, in Luke's gospel, we're not even told that like Elizabeth gave like baby advice or like pregnancy. Like, hey, I'm a little bit further down, and this is what you expect when you're expecting. Like Elizabeth didn't do that at all. Instead, she just rejoiced at what God was doing in Mary and what was in front of her, and that's what Mary needed to hear. Yeah.
It's just an incredible story. If you really get into that story and think about what that had to be like. But again, that long journey, that kind of, we don't have any of the details, but really she got like 15, 16 is traveling all that distance by herself. And Elizabeth, the baby leaping in her womb, it's just really pretty cool to think about.
Yeah, there's so much there. Yeah, and the richness too, that like as I was preparing for it, just about like the joy in the Jewish culture, about the Simcha joy,
right,
and how in all throughout Scripture, it's always corporate.
right.
And I think the church kind of piggybacked off that, like the Big C church historically, with feast days.
Mm-hmm.
So traditionally, the church has had these feast days, often associated, like in Catholicism, with saints, the feast of this person and that person, but the same intention of bringing people together corporately to experience joy together as celebration, regardless of what the month was, what was going on in the society, but just how important that is as a people, and really a reflection of God. That God is a joyful God, and if we're solemn and sullen and sad all the time, then we have to ask ourselves: are we truly reflecting God?
Right.
And that's also not to say like there are conditions. Depression is a serious thing. Even seasonal affective disorder, like some of those things, very easily get chemically your brain out of whack. And that's not dismissing that by any means, but I think that just in a natural way of not focusing on so many bad things that are going on, but taking the time to experience the joy just as a child does.
Right.
The sheer joy of being on a swing or playing or being in the puddles, like today's raining out. That I think we lose as adults, like that playful attitude and posture.
I think you're right. Well, the weight of the world is on our shoulders, and so we think of all the other serious things in life, but we're told to become like children. Jesus told us that we should be like children. But children also kind of need each other. It goes back to that.
Right together.
That sharedness.
And there's just it's I think that true, genuine, like power that comes from also that other perspective. Like we talked about how like we all need an Elizabeth and we all need a Mary. We need someone that we look up to that's a little bit further down the road, that can really call out those things in us and name them and encourage them. And because sometimes I have a hard time seeing it. You have a hard time seeing it. We all have a hard time seeing God's hand in things in our lives. That we need somebody else to point that out. But then you need a Mary too.
Right. Because you can't always be the one that is getting the help. It's good to be that one that can invest in somebody else's life. Kind of can't get your focus off yourself when you're helping someone else and just walking someone's journey with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm curious, Dolores, who has been either a Elizabeth or a Mary in your life? Is there anybody that comes to mind? Like in the message, I need like my mentor Frank, as well as some other people that have been that Elizabeth. But I'm just curious.
I think of Nancy Myers here at church when I was, and other women when I first moved here back in '83. People that were, good friends to me and helped me out, and have been people in my parenting journey then that I could go to for advice and help. And as far as anyone who is my Mary, I enjoy getting to know our college students, and Dave and I try to make it a point to take them out for meals from time to time. So I hope they see me as someone that they can go to and that I can, that they are my little sister of sorts, my
Yeah.
Mary to invest in.
Right, yeah, and having, I think that, like, that intentionality too. Because I think when it comes to Mary, sometimes it takes, like, as an Elizabeth, yeah, it takes that initiative on our part too, to reach out. Because sometimes it is like, it is kind of, could be intimidating, like on someone maybe that's younger or whatever, like, oh, maybe they don't have time, they're too busy, or they're too whatever, like, I even think of like Jesus calling the disciples, right? Like, he went to them and extended the invitation, and they followed. So, but just how important it is on, like, really our lives, but also our spiritual journey. Just having somebody a little bit further up the road and a little bit further back that we hold hands with almost along the way. That's actually one of the best, like, mountaineer practices, if you do know that. So somebody up ahead and somebody
Do I
behind.
look like a mountaineer?
Yeah, I was reading something about that. Is like, that's for most of us, it's having that chain of people that somebody's a little bit up ahead, they're kind of plowing the way, and then somebody's a little bit further behind that you're helping and bring along. And that
It's
all
so,
part of
it's so important to remember that, because again, I just feel like it's a tool of the evil one to make us feel isolated, especially when we're going through a difficult time, and nobody understands us and nobody will get this, and I'm the only person that's ever gone through this in my life.
and it's like that tunnel vision,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Like, you're like, this is horrible, and I'm the worst person, and I totally messed up, and before you know it, it snowballs
Right.
beyond.
For someone to say, well, been there, done that, and you'll get through it, not to just, to encourage us to go past where we are. That's what we need, someone to just help us to eyes forward, don't look back.
Right. Right, and have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Just
Don't take
like-
ourselves too seriously.
Let's not. And again, spending time with kids kind of reminds you of
Yeah.
to
Yeah, and just a little plug for children's ministry too is that, sometimes we think like, oh, I'm not a kid person, or I don't do, but also it's a ministry to you. We read something as a staff a while ago about this, about how children and being involved in children's ministry actually teaches us how to be more like children in the presence of God. We learn from them. And so it's not just about, okay, I need to provide an extra hand because they need help and that kind of thing, but it's also like they're ministering to us. There's so much that we can reflect and learn, especially when it comes to joy.
Yeah, and kids give the best hugs.
They
Kind of
do.
unexpected too. You feel like you're not really maybe reaching them, or you just get. They're just very open about feedback. If they love
True.
you, they let you know.
Right.
So, good.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks, Dolores. Thanks for sharing.
Hey,
Yeah, sharing the
Fun.
joy right here, right? We're not going to sing or dance or anything. Too tired for that.
Oh, we
but
could.
We could, but we're not.
We're not.
But thanks so much for
Not a problem.
sharing, and and I can't believe it's already the third week of Advent. Next Sunday's the fourth week. The regifting love is what we're going to talk
Yes.
about, and once again we'll kind of wrap up that piece of Advent together. But make sure you join us on Sunday, online, in person, and like we said, also Christmas Eve we're going to have 2 services, one that'll be online. We have a 4 o'clock that's an outdoor. And please pray for good weather. Pray no snow, no wet, anything. And that's at 4 o'clock. And then we have
With cookies.
with cookies and hot cocoa. Yeah, invite some neighbors. It's really laid back. It's like about a 35-minute service. It's nice and light but fun, and we do sing silently with candles outside. But then we also have a 6 o'clock that's indoor, and that'll also be online too for you to worship from home or later on or whatever that might be. So yeah, but thank you guys for joining us. We hope you have a great week. God bless and happy Advent. Take care.